The development of the scientific method of research have so transformed human life that the long inherited timeless universe of symbols has collapsed. The result is that there is no hiding place for the gods from the searching telescope and the microscope. There is no such society anymore as the gods once supported. And in modern societies, every last vestige of the ancient human heritage of ritual, morality, and art is in full decay. The effect for the individual is that one does not know toward what one moves. One does not know by what one is propelled. The lines of communication between the conscious and unconscious zones of the human psyche have all been cut, and we have been split in two. If there's a tragic heroism left to contemporary man, it's that every one of us share the supreme ordeal, carry the cross of the Redeemer, not in the bright moments of his tribe's great victories, but in the silences of his personal despair. It is not so much that relatively simply matter of losing faith in something. Anything lost can be replaced by something else. What we have been dispossessed of is the capacity to believe at all, the essential virtue of faith itself, because we no longer believe in ourselves. The death of God, theologians of the 1960s missed the point. God did not die at Hiroshima or Dachau, nor was he a victim of a melancholy accident of the industrial, technological, or scientific revolution. In establishing the time of death, J. Hills Miller focuses more accurately on René Descartes' 17th century pronouncement that the existence is dependent upon awareness itself, merely a dramatic articulation of Renaissance individualism. Man has killed God by separating his subjectivity from everything but itself. The ego has put everything in doubt and has defied all outside itself as the object of its thinking power. Cognitic ergo sum, the absolute certainty about the self reached by Descartes. Hyperbolic doubt leads to the assumption that things exist. For me at least, only because I think them. When everything exists only as reflected in the ego, then man has drunk up the sea. If man is defined as subject, everything else turns into object. This includes God, who now becomes merely the highest object of man's knowledge. God, once the creative sun, the power establishing the horizon where heaven and earth came together, becomes an object of thought like any other. When man drinks up the sea, he also drinks up God, the creator of the sea. In this way, man is the murderer of God. In spite of continued pageantry and other bitter theological debate and warfare, if man did not kill God, he at least usurped his position. In the late Middle Ages, with the rise of individualism,
That's right, yeah.
no matter how rationalized, faith is an admission of dependency, an acceptance of submission to a force or being not only more powerful and wiser than man, but one not subject to or explainable by any mere human faculty or agency. A God whose nature is definable, or whose actions are seen as needing to be explained, is an absurdity. To justify the ways of God to man, however piously intended, is itself an act of revolutionary arrogance. What has interested mankind since the Renaissance is man's designs upon the world. What has overawed us is the mystery and wonderment of the individual. We may place in God we trust in America upon our coins, but all of our wages have been placed on ourselves. It would be peculiar not to be impressed by man's stewardship of the earth and with the extension of human intelligence and order over the world of the past 500 years. In America, whatever the failures and errors, our reign in a homocentric world has produced a record of incredible achievement in medicine, education, urban life, agriculture, the technologies of work and pleasure, social justice. In spite of doubts, Americans have been cocky people, and with good reason. The diverse dreams have been achievable, and an extraordinary percentage have been achieved. Choices between logically incompatible material and ideal choices did not need many. We could have it all. We felt justified in believing ourselves lords and gods of the land. What post-World War II Americans have had to face is not the death of God, but the death of God we had believed ourselves to be. You understand what's happening in America? All that we had done as Americans, as post-Renaissance individualists, has been based on a confidence which may have been an arrogance and which we have come to suspect was an illusion, that humanity as a whole and we as individuals have the power to build a society, invent a culture, shape lives more just, beautiful and pleasurable than those of any other time. A basic natural goodness both as a race of men and as persons, so that for all of our mistakes and misunderstandings, essentially we could trust our instincts and the drives of our society to lead us upwards towards the good in the direction of love, understanding, compassion. The ability to know our world, to banish ignorance, mystery, and irrationality and impose logic, order, understanding of art, and thereby establish control over the apparent confusion and anarchy of man. We, individually or collectively, have never really been as impressive as we have seemed to ourselves. Yet 500 years of surging growth in every field, all supported by the enormous wealth of a new world, allowed us the illusion of infinite expansion, continual expression, unlimited potential all at our disposal. The suspicions of the 19th century have become the dark certainties of the contemporary period. We have lost the only faith we have left in us after God died. Man was supposed to replace him, grew sick of himself. This resulted in a crisis of belief and disbelief, which made the 20th century spiritually empty. We might respond that all we experience is a painful adolescence, a throwing off of illusions, but that assessment undervalues the centrality, even the creative function of illusion in our life. We need to look more closely at what has happened in the 20th century to our sense of power, natural goodness, and ability to understand our world. Maybe we are too familiar with the evidence of how technology and technocracy have robbed us of our sense of personal worth. A future shock which leaves us numb and bubbling before the great dynamo. McLuhan's media technology, which so alerts our images of self, that wars necessarily result as misbegotten efforts to recover the old image. B.F. Skinner proposes a technology of behavior based on the premise that all of our actions are already controlled and freedom only a myth. Harvey Cox optimistically places man in the secular society at the giant switchboard, ignoring the obvious, that for all of the excitement of the game, the nature of the no longer functioning switchboard is a more vital fact than any given operator who sits at it. The realist answers that technology and the media, mobility, and even the technocracy which it spans all gives us the freedom, security, information, and lifestyle that we cherish and would be unwilling to surrender. That fact is so self-evident that Alvin Toffler proposes quite logically that the solution to the equally undeniable problems that technology has created is a quantum leap into more technology and a system approach to technology itself, a technology of technology. Yet all that good sense simply misses the point. How drastically our technological revolution has reduced the dimensions of man. How psychologically dwarfed and misplaced, like a grasshopper at the foot of the World Trade Center, the individual has been made.
Thank you very much.